I was feeling pretty good as I hopped into my car to start my shift as a delivery driver for a popular food delivery app. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and I was ready to make some extra cash. As I began making my first delivery, however, a sense of unease began to settle in. The customer's house was in a dimly lit, run-down neighborhood, and the street was eerily quiet. I pulled up to the address and parked my car, feeling a chill run down my spine. As I approached the front door, I noticed that it was cracked open just a bit. My heart began to race as I cautiously pushed it open, calling out, "Hello? Delivery." The air inside was stale and musty, and I could barely see anything in the darkened room. I took a hesitant step forward, peering into the darkness. Suddenly, I felt a cold hand wrap around my ankle, causing me to scream in terror. I tried to pull away, but the grip only tightened, dragging me backwards into the shadows. Panic set in as I struggled to break free, my mind racing with thoughts of all the terrible things that could happen to me. I kicked and thrashed, but the grip only grew stronger. Just as I was about to give up hope, the hand released me, and I scrambled backwards, gasping for air. In the darkness, I saw a figure lurking in the shadows, its eyes gleaming with malice. I bolted for the door, my heart pounding in my chest. As I burst out into the sunlight, I realized that I had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. Shaken and trembling, I got back into my car and drove away as fast as I could, vowing to never take a delivery to a sketchy neighborhood again. From that day on, I always made sure to take extra precautions to stay safe on the job. The adrenaline was still pumping through my veins as I tried to calm myself down. I knew I had to keep delivering food to make ends meet, but the thought of encountering another terrifying situation like that one filled me with dread. As I made my way to the next delivery, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was following me. Every shadow seemed to hold a new threat, and every creak of the floorboards set my nerves on edge. When I finally arrived at the next address, I was relieved to see that it was in a well-lit and busy area. But as I knocked on the door, a sudden gust of wind caused it to swing open, revealing a dark and empty room. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of whether to enter or not, but the hunger of the customer's order urged me forward. As I stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind me, and I heard the distinct sound of a lock clicking. Panic flooded my senses as I tried to open the door, but it was jammed shut. The room was completely dark, and I could feel something moving around me. The air was thick and humid, and a foul smell filled my nostrils. I fumbled for my phone, trying to turn on the flashlight, but it was dead. I was alone, trapped, and completely at the mercy of whatever was in the room with me. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my arm, and everything went black. When I woke up, I was lying on the ground outside the customer's house, my head throbbing and my body battered. I didn't know what had happened, but I knew that I had narrowly escaped a terrible fate once again. From that day on, I made sure to always carry a charged phone and a can of pepper spray with me on deliveries. I couldn't shake the feeling that something evil was out there, waiting for its next victim. But I refused to let fear control me. I was a survivor, and I would do whatever it takes to keep delivering food and staying alive. As I limped back to my car, I couldn't help but feel that there was more to these strange occurrences than just random bad luck. I started to suspect that someone, or something, was actively targeting me. My suspicions were confirmed when I received a mysterious phone call that night. A distorted voice on the other end of the line told me that I had been chosen, that I was the next sacrifice in a ritualistic killing spree. I tried to shake it off as a prank call, but I couldn't ignore the growing feeling of dread in my gut. And then, just as I was about to dismiss it as my imagination running wild, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Standing at the corner of the street was a figure, tall and gaunt, with eyes that glowed like embers in the darkness. It was the same figure that had grabbed me at the first delivery. I froze, unable to move or even breathe, as it started to move towards me with an unholy grace. Just when I thought I was done for, it suddenly stopped, its attention drawn to something behind me. I turned around, only to see a group of armed police officers approaching. They had been tracking a serial killer who had been using the food delivery app to lure victims to their doom, and I had unwittingly stumbled into their trap. As they arrested the killer, I realized that my instincts had been right all along. But instead of being just another victim, I had managed to survive and help bring the perpetrator to justice. From that day on, I knew that the world was full of dangers, but I also knew that I had the strength and the courage to face them head-on. And as I continued to deliver food, I did so with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that I was making a difference, one order at a time. Despite the arrest of the killer, the experience had left me scarred. Every time I went on a delivery, I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched, like something was lurking in the shadows waiting for its next opportunity to strike. One night, as I was walking to my car after making a delivery, I heard a strange rustling sound coming from behind me. I turned around and saw a dark figure moving towards me. My heart racing, I fumbled for my pepper spray and turned to face the figure. But as it got closer, I realized with a shock that it wasn't a person at all, but a creature from another world. It was a being with a body made of twisted vines and thorns, its eyes glowing like fiery embers. I tried to run, but it was too fast, its long, sinewy arms reaching out to grab me. Just when I thought all hope was lost, a blinding light filled the area, and the creature shrieked in pain. I turned to see a group of people standing behind me, wielding weapons that looked like they came from another era. They introduced themselves as the Guardians, a group of warriors who had been tasked with protecting the world from creatures like the one that had attacked me. They had been tracking the creature for days, and had finally caught up to it just in time to save me. As they battled the creature, I watched in awe, realizing that there were more things in this world than I had ever imagined. And as I stood there, watching the Guardians triumph over the monster, I knew that my life would never be the same again. From that day on, I joined the Guardians, training alongside them to learn how to defend myself against the otherworldly threats that lurked in the shadows. And as we battled together, I felt a sense of purpose and camaraderie that I had never felt before. Though the dangers were still out there, I knew that I wasn't alone. And as I continued to deliver food, I did so with a newfound sense of strength and courage, knowing that I had the power to protect myself and those around me from whatever horrors the world may throw our way. As I trained with the Guardians, I began to feel more confident and capable of handling whatever threats may come my way. However, as time passed, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off about the group. Their methods were often brutal and violent, and their beliefs were centered around the idea of maintaining order at all costs, even if it meant sacrificing innocent lives. I started to wonder if I had made a mistake in joining them. One night, as we were out on a mission to hunt down a dangerous creature, we stumbled upon a horrific discovery. In a hidden room, we found evidence of a ritualistic sacrifice, and I realized with horror that the Guardians were not what they seemed. They were not protectors of the innocent, but a cult that worshipped the very creatures they claimed to fight against. And as I tried to process this new information, I realized that I was in grave danger. The Guardians turned on me, seeing me as a liability and a potential threat to their secrets. I was forced to flee for my life, hunted by the very people I had trusted and fought alongside. As I ran, I realized that I was in a world full of horrors, where even those who claimed to be fighting for the greater good could be hiding sinister agendas. And just when I thought all hope was lost, I stumbled upon a group of rebels who were fighting against the Guardians. They showed me that not everyone was a monster, but there were still people out there who believed in justice and compassion. And as I joined their cause, I realized that the battle against darkness was not as simple as I had thought. The Guardians may have been defeated, but there were still other cults and organizations out there, each with their own twisted agendas. And as I continued to deliver food, I did so with a newfound sense of caution and awareness, knowing that the horrors of the world were not always easy to spot, and that anyone could be hiding a dark secret. As I continued to work with the rebels, I learned more about the true nature of the creatures that I had once believed to be the enemy. They were not all mindless monsters, but beings with complex emotions and motivations of their own. the rebels showed me how to communicate with them, to understand their language and their culture. I began to see them not as mindless predators, but as fellow beings trying to survive in a harsh and unforgiving world. But even as I came to understand the creatures, I found myself facing a new enemy. A group of humans, calling themselves the Purifiers, had emerged, seeking to wipe out all creatures from existence. Their leader was a charismatic woman named Cassandra, who preached that the creatures were an abomination and that it was the duty of humans to cleanse the world of their presence. She had a massive following, and I soon realized that they were more dangerous than the Guardians had ever been. The Purifiers launched a massive assault on the creatures' territory, killing indiscriminately and burning everything in their path. The creatures fought back, but they were vastly outnumbered, and it seemed like their doom was inevitable. Desperate to stop the bloodshed, I rallied a group of rebels and led them on a mission to infiltrate the Purifiers' base and put an end to their plans once and for all. It was a risky move, but it was the only option we had. We managed to sneak in undetected and planted explosives throughout the base. But as we were about to detonate them, Cassandra appeared before us, flanked by her most loyal followers. She revealed that she had been expecting us all along, and that the base was rigged with a failsafe that would trigger a massive explosion, killing everyone in the vicinity, including herself and her followers. I realized with horror that we had been played, that Cassandra had set a trap for us, knowing that we would come to stop her. In that moment, I knew that we had only one option left, to sacrifice ourselves to stop the Purifiers and their leader once and for all. As I looked around at my fellow rebels, I knew that we had all come to the same realization. We held hands and closed our eyes, ready to face our fate with courage and determination. And in that moment, a blinding light filled the room, and I felt myself being lifted up, as if by some unseen force. When I opened my eyes, I found myself standing in a strange, otherworldly place, surrounded by beings of pure light and energy. They told me that they were the protectors of the universe, and that they had been watching our struggles. They had chosen us to be their champions, to carry on their legacy and fight against the darkness that threatened to consume our world. I looked around at my fellow rebels, and saw that they too were being lifted up, their bodies transformed into beings of pure light and energy, just like the protectors themselves. And in that moment, I knew that our fight was far from over. But with the power of the protectors behind us, we had a chance to make a real difference, to fight for a world where both humans and creatures could coexist in peace and harmony. As we stood there, transformed into beings of pure energy, we felt a surge of power and determination flowing through us. We knew that we had been given a second chance, a chance to make a difference and fight for the greater good. The protectors told us that we would face many challenges ahead, and that we must stay true to our mission no matter what. They also warned us that there were other forces in the universe that sought to destroy us and everything we stood for. With newfound strength and resolve, we returned to our world, ready to face whatever lay ahead. We saw that the battle between the creatures and the Purifiers had escalated into an all-out war, with both sides suffering heavy losses. But we were not alone in our fight. Many humans had joined our cause, and we had also gained the support of the creatures. Together, we formed a powerful alliance, ready to take on the Purifiers and anyone else who dared to threaten our world. Our first target was Cassandra herself. We knew that she was still out there, plotting and scheming, and that we had to stop her before she could cause any more harm. Using our new powers, we tracked her down to a hidden underground facility, where she had been working on a new weapon of mass destruction. We infiltrated the facility, facing off against her loyal followers and the deadly traps she had set up. Finally, we confronted her in her laboratory. She sneered at us, confident in her superiority and her ability to crush us. But we were not so easily defeated. With a powerful surge of energy, we attacked her, unleashing all the power we had at our disposal. She fought back, but in the end, she was no match for us. We managed to destroy her weapon and neutralize her, taking her into custody and ensuring that she would never be a threat again. As we emerged from the underground facility, victorious but weary, we saw that the sun was rising on a new day. A day where humans and creatures could coexist in peace and harmony, where the darkness had been defeated and the light had triumphed. We knew that there would be other challenges ahead, other battles to fight and other enemies to face. But we also knew that we had the power of the protectors behind us, and that we would never give up in our fight for a better world. As we basked in our hard-earned victory, we were suddenly struck by a feeling of unease. We realized that there was something off about the world around us, something that we couldn't quite put our finger on. We soon found out what it was. As we looked up at the sky, we saw that it had turned a sickly shade of green, and that the air was thick with an acrid, poisonous haze. We frantically searched for the source of the pollution, but it was already too late. The purifiers had unleashed their final weapon, a toxin that was designed to wipe out all life on Earth. As the reality of our situation sunk in, we felt a sense of despair wash over us. All our efforts had been for nothing. We had fought bravely, but in the end, we had failed to save our world. But then, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. We saw a fleet of ships descending from the sky, their sleek, silver forms gleaming in the sickly light. The ships were piloted by a race of advanced beings who had been monitoring our planet from afar. They had been waiting for the right moment to intervene, and they had chosen this moment when all hope seemed lost. With their help, we managed to neutralize the toxin and reverse its effects, saving our world from certain doom. But the beings warned us that this was just the beginning of a much larger threat. As it turned out, the purifiers were just pawns in a larger game, controlled by an even more powerful force that was bent on destroying all life in the universe. It would take all of our newfound strength and resolve to stop this new enemy and save the entire cosmos from destruction. And so, we embarked on a new journey, one that would take us to the farthest reaches of space and push us to the limits of our abilities. But we were not alone. We had each other, and we had the support of our new allies, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As we prepared to embark on our new mission, we couldn't shake the feeling of foreboding that hung in the air. We knew that the stakes were higher than ever, and that the challenges ahead would be even greater than those we had faced before. We traveled through space, facing danger at every turn. Our ship was attacked by rogue drones, and we narrowly escaped a massive asteroid field that threatened to tear us apart. As we approached our destination, we saw a massive structure looming in the distance, a dark, foreboding presence that filled us with dread. We docked our ship and cautiously made our way inside, our senses on high alert. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of our footsteps echoing through the halls. We soon discovered that the structure was a massive laboratory, filled with all manner of bizarre and terrifying experiments. We saw creatures that defied all logic and reason, twisted abominations that should never have existed. As we delved deeper into the lab, we realized that this was the source of the purifier's power. They had been conducting experiments here, trying to unlock the secrets of the universe and harness its power for their own nefarious purposes. But as we studied the experiments, we realized something even more horrifying. The purifiers had succeeded in their goal. They had unlocked the secret to unlimited power, and they were planning to use it to destroy all life in the universe. We knew that we had to stop them, but we were also acutely aware of the danger we faced. The purifiers were not alone in the lab. There were other beings, creatures beyond our comprehension, who would stop at nothing to protect their secrets. As we prepared to confront the purifiers and their allies, we felt a sense of overwhelming suspense wash over us. We knew that this was the moment of truth, the moment that would decide the fate of the entire universe. And we had no idea whether we would emerge victorious or succumb to the darkness that surrounded us. We moved forward, steeling ourselves for the final confrontation. The tension in the air was palpable, and we could hear the sound of our hearts pounding in our chests. As we entered the main chamber, we saw the purifiers and their allies waiting for us, their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. They were surrounded by a pulsating energy field, crackling with power. We knew that we had only one chance to stop them. We launched a full-scale assault, our weapons firing on all cylinders, our movements calculated and precise. But the purifiers were too powerful. Their defenses were impenetrable, and their attacks were devastating. We were thrown back time and time again, barely avoiding their deadly blows. As the battle raged on, we realized that we had to try a different approach. We had to find a way to disrupt the energy field, to weaken their defenses and create an opening for our final strike. We focused all our energy and resources on the task, using all our knowledge and expertise to find a weakness in their defenses. And then, at last, we found it. We launched a coordinated attack, hitting the purifiers with everything we had. And then, just as they were about to deliver the final blow, we unleashed our secret weapon. A burst of pure, raw energy exploded from our weapons, surging towards the purifiers with unstoppable force. It shattered their energy field, sending them reeling, and then hit them with devastating force. The purifiers were obliterated, consumed by the very power they had sought to control. And we, the last survivors of a dying world, had saved the entire universe from destruction. As we stood there, triumphant, we realized that we had overcome insurmountable odds, and emerged victorious against all odds. And in that moment, we knew that we had become legends, heroes whose names would be remembered for generations to come.
Thanks for watching. With you. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.